Hey everyone, this is Josh with Cardboard Chronicles, and I'm here with Niten today. Niten, how's it going?
All right, man. How you doing?
I'm doing great, ready to talk some cards. Today we have a really great guest. Niten's got a ton of knowledge about the market of basketball cards. We're gonna get into the recent price increases. We'll get into sort of like the business side of things and get into the high end card market. So Nitin knows a lot about that stuff. So I'm pretty excited about this one. So why don't you start us off? Just give us an interview, or a brief recap on you and your history on collecting.
Sure. So I guess it all started same as anyone else, pretty much that I know. Collected as a child, got into it in the 90s. Really picked up 96, 97 is pretty much like when it took into full blast. Big Kobe guy. Fell in love with Jordan. If it wasn't for Jordan, I probably would have never got into this hobby. Forget the hobby. I probably would never got into sports. I mean, just seeing him, the competitor that he was, the greatness that he showed day in, day out, season after season. He never whined or cried about anything. He just played and fell in love with that attitude that he brought. So I collected in the 90s. I stopped in 2000, 2001, my junior, like my sophomore, junior year in high school. Other things started becoming more important to me. Girls. So yeah, didn't really get back into it until it's been about 3 years now
Nice.
that I've gotten back into it. So I missed the whole, LeBron rookie card season stuff, when it kind of, when the basketball cards kind of exploded and autograph cards became mainstream. Prior to that, getting an autograph card was, big deal, whether it be, a nobody or somebody. It was a pretty big deal
Right.
because you'd open packs after packs. You weren't guaranteed nothing. And today you're guaranteed something out of this, and back in the 90s, you weren't guaranteed anything.
Right. So why don't you tell us what you collect today?
So I collect mostly high-end Kobe Bryants and Jordans. I have a few LeBrons in my collection as well. Tend to pick up a LeBron when I can pair it up with a Kobe or a Jordan, or when I can complete a trifecta of the three.
Sure.
Um, I really love Exquisite. Just really nice cards. Um, it seems that they have an art factor to them, just not the card itself. It's something that all the companies have been trying to replicate since
Sure.
they came out, and haven't done a really good job of it. But that's why it's exquisite.
Yeah. Um, so is there any reason other than your love of Kobe and Jordan uh, that you specifically collect those three players? Is it monetary reasons?
It's a safe way to go about it. You know, I'm not gonna lie, if I've spent thousands of dollars into these cards, and for me to put that type of money into something, I want to know at the end of the day, do I have a safe investment or not? Um, I can pretty much tell you if the prices of Jordan, Kobe, and LeBron flatline, everybody's done.
Right. Sure.
Uh, and that's just not basketball. That's the hobby in itself. Jordan pretty much drives this hobby. I don't care what a baseball collector has to say, or a football card collector. If there wasn't Jordan, the prices wouldn't be where they're at right now.
Sure. Yeah, he didn't like when he became big in the 90s, it was like a marketing explosion, right? It wasn't just cards, it was everything. Like he
Right,
brought he brought the whole market to where it is.
right, right. With endorsements and everything.
Yeah,
So
totally.
um, memorabilia in general. Baseball has a lot of heritage to that history, with Ruth, Mantle, so the memorabilia market was there, but I now consider cards have surpassed for most sake the memorabilia market.
Sure.
I see people, spending five figures plus on one card when you could get that same player's autograph on a baseball or basketball, not card, but an actual ball for a fraction of that price.
Sure. Well, let's just jump right into it. So, what are your thoughts on just the business side in general of collecting cards? Because I know a lot of guys talk about, collect just what you like and don't worry about the price and assume that everything's going to crash, and as long as you have the cards you like. We've talked about it on this channel even. What are your thoughts on that?
I, to a certain extent, by all means, collect what you enjoy collecting, but at the same time, if you're spending thousands of dollars, you're gonna want a return eventually, whether that be tomorrow or 10 days down the road or when you plan your retirement. You're not going to be able to take those cards to the grave with you, so you're going to look to cash them in one day. And now, for example, I'll use Derrick Rose as an example. I mean, I love Derrick Rose as a player, but people put tons of money into him, and even him being an MVP of the league, in my eyes, a top 25 player in this generation. At his prime, he was definitely a top 25 player in this generation. People spent a lot of money on him, and now look, you can't, they're not able to get any of that back. And it sucks because they enjoyed, collecting Derrick Rose. Nobody saw, his career going down the path, excuse me, down the path that it, has gone down. And, those people are out thousands of dollars. So when somebody says collect what you enjoy, collect who you like, be reasonable about it, be responsible about it.
Sure.
Don't go out searching for that player's best card when you don't have the financial means to take a loss on it.
Sure. So do you treat cards more as an investment or more for the fun of it? Like what's your ratio? How do you balance that?
My ratio is 90% fun and 10%, investment. I don't simply buy a card just to say, oh, I know it's going to appreciate in value. I buy a card because I like the card. Unfortunately for me, the cards I like cost quite a bit of money. And so at the same time, I have to be responsible about that and make good decisions. And I know with the players I collect, investing that type of money into a card, I'm pretty safe.
So let's say so Jordan's your favorite player and you're going after a Jordan card. When you're looking at a certain card that you like or that you want, how much goes through your mind of, I need to get this card because it's long term a better investment versus another one you might like equally? Do you balance in that thought of, well, this one might not be worth as much in the future?
Sometimes, but not really. When I go after a card, I want it. I don't want it as an investment type thing that I know it's going to appreciate in value or anything of that nature. I like to say I would go after a card because I like it.
Mm-hmm. The better looking cards go up in value anyways.
Exactly.
Did you see the PWCC ending, the listings in tonight?
Yeah, I actually did, and it's mind-boggling. I did purchase the card. I thought it was going to go for a little bit more than what I purchased it for, but I experienced the same thing last year, right before Nationals came around.
Sure.
Auctions were being one for a decent price because
Yeah.
I think people were laying off to see what was available at the show and for them to have cash on hand
Yeah,
to
that makes
purchase.
sense. Did any of the prices surprise you, or is this a trend? We just keep seeing
Oh,
this upward trend.
uh, prices are ridiculous right now, um, especially with uh, chrome cards like
Yeah.
fractors, colors. And it's just not this PWCC season that ended, the one prior to. If you look at the Prism Golds from the first year release, I mean, I
Yep.
believe LeBron and Kobe both went over 4K. I think there was an Anthony Davis Gold rookie that did like 6,500.
Yeah.
Uh, and the trend continues. What's shiny has now become what's valuable in people's eyes. I don't really see long-term wise the money being held in the current stage of cards that are being collected
Okay.
because Panini has not done a good job of mixing it up. It's not like it was in the 90s where, you know, Fleer, Upper Deck, and Tops all brought the same product back the next year, but a completely new design of the product.
Yeah.
It's not the same landscape, and that kind of has people that collected those 90s cards still driven to, go after those cards because they're very unique to that year.
Yeah.
Whereas, the Panini trend continues. You could almost picture what a National Treasure card looks like after just seeing one from one year, or a Prism card looks like from seeing one from one year.
I don't understand why they don't even change the background color. I don't. It's
It,
always
it,
white. I don't understand that. Like Exquisite, if you look at their stuff, the
oh
background
yeah,
colors
oh
are so unique.
yeah. And not only like the colors, um, the foil design and stuff that they used. Panini doesn't use foil for nothing.
Yeah.
And I know it's very sensitive material, as you being a 90s collector and stuff, you know how that goes. But I mean, it brought the best out of cards, as far as color, the pop, wow factor, and everything.
Yep.
PNGs, rubies, platinum medallions.
Yep. The creativity is the word I always
Right,
use.
right.
The question that everyone wants to hear answered, and I know I do, is this trend going to continue? Are the prices going to keep going up, or are we in some sort of bubble?
So we are in a bubble. Um, and the main drive right now that is pushing cards where they're at today is people like myself, like you, that grew up collecting in the 90s, that left the hobby, have all made returns back into the hobby. And not only have we all made returns back to the hobby, we're all now, you know, doing our professions where we're having a, financial income that can support what we like. And it's now also driven a competitive edge who can, come up with a better collection than
Yep.
so and so.
Yep.
Or I don't personally look at myself as a collector that way. Um, but, something I like is most likely going to be liked by somebody else out there. And, if a card becomes available and I have the means, we're going to push each other's buttons until somebody, outbids the other guy.
Yeah, it's pretty simple supply and demand. What we're seeing right now, we're just seeing more people enter the market from the 90s with more money,
Right.
and the supply is the same, if not,
Right.
going down. Obviously, like people are.
Obviously, I would say it's gone down because who knows how many cards have been destroyed
Sure.
since the 90s till now,
Yep.
and, to say one player has 10 green PMGs, for example, how many of those 10 PMGs still exist? You know, who knows what mom threw out a box of cards that could have had a PMG in there, and a kid not even know what he had
Right.
because they weren't that sought after at that time. I mean, yes, they were, but they weren't what they are today.
Yep. I was talking with someone today, and they were sort of voicing, and I know I've done this, you've probably done this as well, voicing frustration over the prices at just sort of the difficulty and how much harder it is for us to obtain these
Oh,
cards.
yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. And in fact, um, this year alone, I've probably made 3 or 4 purchases. Trying to think, I think four, if you include the card that I won today, that'd be five. 5 purchases this year alone. Um, Compared to last year, I probably made 15 or so, and
Mm-hmm.
then year before that, I probably double that amount. So yeah, it's becoming to the point where I'm spending more money for less cards than getting more cards for less money.
How is your return on investment so far in the 3 years? It's got to be really high.
It is. It's insanely high. I was very fortunate that I got back into things right when I did.
Yeah.
Uh, uh, right when I got back into it. For example, a Jordan Bulls auto was costing anywhere from like $800 to $900. Yeah, yeah.
That's
So
like super cheap now.
yeah, yeah, and the funny thing is, when I did come back into it, I was like, really, $800? That's a lot of money,
Yeah.
and I slowly went from spending like 20, $50 a card to a couple $100 card. And then I remember the very first time I bought $1,000 card, which was a Jordan auto. And I was like, holy shit, what did I just do? I just spent $1,000 on
Right.
a card. And now I'm praying that I could get a card for $1,000.
Totally.
Yeah, so I've I consider myself fortunate for coming back at the time I did.
So if the kids from the 90s like you and me that got back into it now that we have the money, and you think the prices are getting higher and we're approaching a bubble, what would stop this train? That's like you and I
So
aren't going to exit at any point anytime soon.
no, no, that's that's true that you and I may not exit anytime, but you got to remember the adults that collected back in the 90s and stuff, they are slowly exiting now because the prices, you know, makes complete sense for them to exit. So more and more collections are going to start to surface, as you can see. If you follow Instagram, or if you're on Instagram, you could probably follow few well-known collectors and see some of the cards that they have acquired as a lot. And you don't just get that. Luckily, you get that from a collector. And once more of those type of collections surface, it's gonna draw a standstill. And then once the people that are putting money into cards right now that can't afford it, but they're still doing it, have to exit the game because what the hole that they dig themselves into will bring more cards out to the public, which will ultimately drop in prices. And honestly, it goes one and one with the economy, right? So if the economy starts going down, the card prices are going to follow with that.
Sure.
And it's just not cards in general. I mean, if you look at collector cars, those prices are mind-boggling.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I just read the other day a Ferrari sold for like $89 million. I'm like, are you kidding me? You know, one car, and it was a yeah, it is. I'm trying to remember what model it is, but yeah, there's I think nine that exist in the world today still, but still $89 million for a
Right.
car.
It makes us
I,
look like, you know, peasants.
yeah, right. And the previous record was held by that same card, and it was sold for like 23 million.
So it's the same trend that we're seeing, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah,
cards are crushing previous records just like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Are you trying to time anything in terms of like if you're trying to reach some goal of getting cards, are you trying to time it to where prices may dip, or like are you holding out for that dip, or are you just continuing on your pattern?
I just continue on my pattern. I'll reach out to people that I know that have certain cards that I would like to acquire. If I'm unable to acquire them, then I don't necessarily hop online to see what else I could buy.
Sure.
Uh, I like to hold off on a purchase for something I really want.
Sure.
I don't break. I don't do any of the modern stuff. Um, as far as group breaks or
Yeah.
even opening a single pack of cards. Every now and then I will buy a box from a local card shop here in St. Louis. My friend owns RBI Crew,
Mm-hmm.
Ryan Bannister, really good guy. I'll have to introduce you to him at National. Uh, but yeah, I don't really dabble with the modern stuff. Every now and then I'll trade at a show or something
Yeah.
for something that I may like, but I necessarily haven't kept a modern card for that long.
Yeah. Sure. Um, I wanted to talk about a misconception that people have about high-end collectors like yourself and a couple other guys I know.
Sure.
Um, a lot of people think that you just have more money, like high-end guys just have more money, so it's just easier. But all the guys that I know, like you and Grant Slate and a couple other high-end guys, you guys are like putting in the work. Why don't you talk about just how much effort and like energy you're putting into this hobby and how much of a grind it actually is?
Um, you know, when you want something bad enough, you're gonna go through the means of doing anything possible to obtain, that goal that you're trying to achieve. Uh, I can give an example. There's a card I still currently want. I've been talking to this guy for about a year and a half now, and in the time that it's been that's gone by, the card's probably doubled in value, which is not helping my situation any. But I mean, me finding that one card has led to a good friendship with this gentleman, and never met him in person. He actually is from Indonesia, but we exchange numbers, so we chat every now and then, and he's also on Instagram. Uh, but yeah, I've put in so much time talking to him, and and the sad thing is he doesn't want money. He wants something he can replace that card with.
Mm,
So it's now my job to go out there and find something to replace, you know, this iconic card in this guy's collection. And I can't tell you, every morning I search through all my different streams to see if one of those cards pop up.
right.
And so I can say I go to sleep every night looking at eBay, Blowout, Facebook, etc. And every morning I'll do the exact same thing over again
Yep.
before I do anything else.
Yep.
I mean, that's before I get out of bed to go use the restroom or anything.
That's exactly right. It's like your brain almost just goes through the same clicks over and over
Right,
to hit all the
right,
streams.
right.
So do you have like a small bit of advice for anyone out there that's trying to get to where you are in terms of not only the high end stuff, but just like the time you're putting into it and the effort?
Yeah, so I mean, it all comes down to your obligations, right? Um, if you're in this to be a hobbyist, you know, don't take away from what you're already doing. Especially if you're supporting a family, and don't get too caught up with what somebody else has. Do you, and at the same time be responsible about it.
Sure. 'Cause at the end of the day, you gotta live with your own collection. Like, you can show it
Right,
off on Instagram, but it's
right,
really like
right.
you're the one that has to be happy with it.
Exactly.
I want to see some cards. What do you got?
uh,
We can't talk
uh,
about all this high end stuff and all these, huge auctions and not see some sweet cards. I should have teased it better at the beginning, but I feel like we built it
yeah,
up to what type of stuff you have, anyways.
yeah,
I've only seen pockets of it.
yeah. There is one card that I keep at a bank safe that very few people have ever seen before. So unfortunately, that's not going to be shown today. But there are other nice cards. Uh, Anything in particular you want to start with?
Well, I like LeBron, so
Okay.
whatever you want to show, man. I like all your stuff, honestly.
I'll show you with one of my personal favorite cards. It's a 2001 Ultimate Collection Signature Gold.
I like that set a lot.
Yeah, and in fact, I actually have that one to go with it.
Ugh. Now, do you mostly
And with
have BGS stuff?
Yeah, I have BGS stuff. I just personally like the way the cards are protected more in
Sure,
BGS cases.
sure.
And uh, PSA, I like the aesthetics of PSA better, but as far as protection wise, BGS by far. And if I'm putting this type of money into something, I want to keep it safe.
Sure.
Um, this is probably one of my holy grails in my collection.
How many of those made?
One,
Just that one?
yeah,
One of one Jordan Auto. Those are like
early on too. On top of that,
so
here's
you like the 2000 to kind of 2008 range, is that about right?
2000, yep, or 2008, yeah, 2009.
Upper Deck.
Upper Deck was actually I do have a Curry gold refractor.
Hmm.
Which funny thing is, when I purchased that card, I told everyone this thing is gonna be out of the world here if they win another championship, and yeah, what happened?
Yep.
I think I bought that card for $6,000 or $7,000.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, even that 101, I bought it. It's almost been about a year and a half now, 2 years. So it's like almost doubled in value.
Right.
Uh, Here's my two favorite. You know,
You mostly
you,
go for at least an auto? You don't have any just patch stuff?
yeah, I do. But I don't have them out. I have Jordan patch cards from UD Black. I love that.
Those are nice, yeah.
Yeah, design.
Yep.
You might recognize my man right here.
Ah, I want one of those so bad. I'm not like a huge patch auto guy. I mostly like the clean autos, but I want like one or two really nice patch autos. That one's one of them.
There we go.
Trifecta. Oh, those are sick, man.
I got this last year at National. I made one purchase at National last year. Actually, 3 purchases, but this was by far the biggest one there.
So are prices at National higher than you would find anywhere else?
In most cases, yes, because the cards are in front of you.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, a dealer is going to take advantage of the fact that he has something that you want. I mean, it's common business strategies. You know.
Yeah.
I'm not going to knock on that, but if it's something that can be easily found, I would tell people to wait and not purchase it at National. But if you come across, something rare,
Yep.
the chances of you seeing it again in a while will be,
I'm literally only going to National to find stuff that I'm just not going to find anywhere else, right? That's one of the main goals.
Yeah, right.
It's crazy, just like the feeling that cards give you just looking at them. It's just like we don't even say anything, right? We're just like, wow.
I know, right? It is. This is
I love this
personal
set.
of mine. I got this from a buddy that you may possibly know from Blowout, and yeah, this card will be held in my collection for a long time.
So clean. I love the inscription. What does that one say?
Black Mamba. It's his only exquisite Black Mamba.
That's probably his most popular inscription, right?
Yeah.
That's pretty dope. Those go for... I saw one of those go on eBay recently. They're expensive.
I think the last one in auction did like 12 grand.
Yeah.
Here's another favorite of mine. This is probably one of the first high-end cards that I bought off Blowout, and it was raw, so I was really nervous at the time when I purchased this card.
Yeah.
It was actually the first time I spent $5,000 on a card, but I think I made a sound purchase.
I'm just... All of these cards are so ridiculous.
And my very first exquisite card that I ever purchased was from a good friend of mine, Mike Kantz. He was set up at National as well with RBI Crew. He goes by MC Sport. Yep.
I know him well.
I actually had the pleasure of introducing you to him, right?
I bought a card off of him. Just one.
Yeah, it was good timing, wasn't it?
It was pretty good timing.
So, it's my first ever exquisite card that I got from Mike a couple of years ago. And not only does it look great, but this is the card. Oops. This is the card that basically started my love for exquisite.
Yeah.
I had the love for exquisite, but until finally actually having one and holding it and seeing the detail work going into it, lit a fire, an expensive fire. I'm still trying to put out.
What do you think about LeBron's future in cards relative to Michael Jordan?
So there will never be another Jordan. Kobe won't be a Jordan. LeBron won't be a Jordan. LeBron Jr. is not going to be a Jordan. You get my point. his always have the same collectors behind them, and what's going to help here in a few years are the younger generation of LeBron collectors will start getting jobs.
Yep.
And being able to put in some money on cards. But at the same time, are these younger kids going to be able to afford a $25,000 Ultimate Rookie card?
I mean, it's the same thing we encountered with 90s. Like, we couldn't at the time, we couldn't in the next 10 years, but 20 years?
Yeah, you're looking at cards in the 90s that what we thought were unattainable $100.
Sure.
Not already at the stage of $25K plus.
Sure.
And, so it kind of scares me in a way that, it's not going to be able to draw in same money long-term wise. As I think you'll, at the end of the day, get your investment back. But as far as the ceiling keep being pushed up without new hands coming into the hobby, I don't see that happening.
Yeah, sure.
And if these hands are already getting forced out before they could even come in because of where prices are at, then, it's not going to help the hobby any.
Yeah. This was awesome, dude. I really appreciate you coming on. It's amazing cards.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate you taking your time and asking me to come on. I really do enjoy this. I had the privilege of seeing your other episodes, and they were, and I know who you have lined up coming on, so I'm very, very, very excited for that.
Nice.
Just to give people a little preview, he's probably bringing on one of the best collectors out there, in my eyes, in my opinion, and a lot of people's opinion. Again, like I said, don't get caught up into what other people collect. Don't get caught up into investing in cards with future potential.
Sure.
Because you can lose a lot of money doing that. Go after what you like. Be responsible about it. Like I said, at the end of the day, you said it well. You're the person that lives with the cards, so.
Yep, totally. All right, man. We will cross paths soon, and I will see you at National, and we'll hang out, and we'll talk more cards.
For sure.
Thanks for coming on.
Look forward to it, man.
See you, man.
Yeah, thank you.
See ya.